How have drug addiction played a part in your life?
Um, I have had many friends pass away or be really sick from alcohol addiction. And recently, an ex-boyfriend of mine was addicted to methamphetamines. And it was kind of a slow descent, but he was a different person. And that affected our relationship and ended up with him being arrested and in jail.
And his addiction, would you say was mostly or mainly centered around the methamphetamines you mentioned?
Yes, he also drank a lot though too. He didn't need it, I guess, to survive, but he always had to have it.
Okay. And was he showing signs of being addicted to the alcohol and methamphetamines immediately, or did it seem like he had it under control?
It seemed like he had it under control. The alcohol was a little off-putting to me, just because he would just grab a pint and just go for it, and I was like, "That's a lot of alcohol." Coming
Hmm.
from someone who drank a lot at the time too, but it seemed to be under control.
And you said you drank at the time, so you did use like alcohol at the time. Did you use also methamphetamines?
I did for a short period of time. He kind of guilted me into it.
Hmm.
I think it was to, I'm not sure, to make himself feel better. He told his family that I was the one doing it, not him.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was using with him. I was not a good period of my life.
Right. And around that time, about when did you realize that his drug use and alcohol use was a problem?
um, it was kind of slowly. I don't know, because he and I hadn't really been friends for a couple of years when we started hanging out again. And I guess I didn't really know him as much anymore. And so I didn't know if that was just him, because he's a very extra person. He's very amplified all the time.
Hmm.
He's very insistent and persistent. What he wants to do at that moment is what has to be done at that moment. He's always been like that. And so I just don't think I noticed it because that's how he was.
Hmm. So do you think it's possible that while he was away from you, he became addicted around that time?
I think he became addicted when he was with me. We had
Hmm.
a friend of mine's boyfriend was in that scene and dealing drugs and stuff. And it was in the house. It came around. He liked to do cocaine at parties and stuff. And
Hmm.
I was later told that he was doing it more than that. But so he knew he liked them, knew he liked drugs. But I think it was when he was with me that it started.
Oh, okay. Being that he had a problem, was there any manipulation, stealing, or violence that he would commit to get the drugs or alcohol that he needed?
He didn't steal. He would borrow money from me sometimes, but we've always borrowed money from each other to get to
Hmm.
the next paycheck and whatnot. Um, the the violence and the aggression, it was amplified by the drugs. I don't think it was to get the drugs. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes he would manipulate me into calling my friend, or something. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not sure if that was more him or more the drugs or both.
Right. And during the addiction, all the bad things that he did against you, what would you say hurt the most?
Um, Over time, he's a very manipulative person as it is. He has a history of it, as I've learned recently, and
Hmm.
he broke me down over time. He changed critical aspects of my personality. I was doing things differently. I was wearing different clothing. I was acting different. Um, he had me believing that I was this lost little girl and that I needed him to be in my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have one.
Hmm.
He convinced me I was terrified to drive. I'm not terrified to drive. So he slowly broke me down to the point where I wasn't a good mother because I was allowing my children around him. I was just I thought I was happy. He made me think that I was happy. Somehow it was in my head that I was happy,
Hmm.
but I wasn't, and I was destroyed. He hurt my children, not physically. He just never touched my children. He's threatened to, but he tore their paintings off the wall and tore them up in front of me. He tore up a birthday card my 8-year-old made him in front of her.
Hmm.
And I think that's what hurt me the most is that he hurt the kids to get to me.
Right. Today, is he 100% clean from drugs and alcohol?
His probation officer thinks so. Word
Right.
on the street says otherwise.
Okay, and I was asking that because I was going in this direction that if he ever apologized or expressed any believable remorse towards you, about the way he treated you while he was messed up with addiction.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I so much happened. I don't. I mean, I would listen to what he had to say. I'll always listen. I don't know if I'd believe him.
Hmm.
He's very manipulative. He's very charismatic. He's Ted Bundy. He can talk people into anything.
Hmm.
So
And
I've
and
learned that, and I don't know.
and this is like his personality, and these are traits that are outside addiction. So
They were just amplified.
yeah, okay. So it wouldn't really matter if it was clean because it wasn't those weren't traits that was brought on from the addiction.
I think that if he was clean, he would have more thought about it.
Hmm.
He's very intelligent. Don't think he would be as easy to anger because he knows when I'm angered, then I get angry and then we fight. Whereas when he was really high, he didn't give it. He didn't give a, anything. He just would anger. He would just lunge at me sometimes. So
Oh, okay.
I think he was definitely worse with the drugs. I think if he was clean, he'd have a more rational head about him, especially after his little stint in jail and whatnot. I think he'd be more protective of his own self, I guess.
Right. Thinking back in the early stages of his addiction, do you think you were enabling his addiction in any ways?
Absolutely. I had the friends, I had the people that could bring it. I definitely did.
Right. During the addiction, did he ever express to you that he had a problem?
No, actually, many times he said that he was stronger than the drug and that he didn't have a problem with it because he had the mental willpower to not be addicted to it.
Uh, and you believed him, like it was believable with what you saw with him?
I'm not sure, actually. I mean, maybe I believed it, but maybe I was just thought I was in love. I don't know. I knew that I never had a problem with it. I wasn't using at the same rate he was or the same amount he was, but I never had a problem with it. I mean, I kicked it and I just kicked it. I didn't get sick or anything and didn't really want it again. So I guess I just believed him.
Hmm. And did he ever make you feel guilty about his addiction as if you were the reason why he was addicted to drugs, alcohol?
Yep, many times.
No. And so today, how do you feel about his addiction? Do you blame yourself in any way today or?
I don't blame myself. I do feel guilty as if there was something I could do, but I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Hmm.
And he is a grown adult. He can make his own decisions. And maybe it was an opportunity that he decided to take, and I enabled him. And I do feel guilty for that, but I'm not going to take the blame for his decisions because I can't. He's not taking the blame for anything he did to me while he was on drugs. So I can't, I don't know. I mean, I guess I've forgiven myself for enabling him, but I can't carry around that blame. He made his decisions. I
Hmm.
made my decisions. Mine just happened to work out better for me, I guess.
And that pretty much led into my next question, which was how you handled things with him back then. Do you have any regrets?
I can't really handle anything with him. He has
Okay.
a 2-year protection order in place, which could become permanent if he messes up again. He's not
Hmm.
allowed any contact with me. He still finds ways to bug me, but um, I regret a lot about that entire situation with him, the drugs, everything.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to live with those regrets. I'm not going to carry them around like baggage. That's something that I'm dealing with now. I'm healing from it. And that's my journey. Wherever his journey takes him, I hope it's as good to him.
Right. All that you've been through with him, having that experience with addiction, what are some signs that you would tell people to look out for to be able to tell if it's casual use or if it's becoming addiction?
Um, Hiding it. He would go and he would buy and he would come back to the house and then be like, "Oh, it looks short. It's not all here." And then I'd be in his car, like driving to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
He would places. He would be like, "Oh, we're almost out. Oh, wait, I have this little stash that I saved for work." Just hiding it, and then he became a very he became a very amplified. I keep using that word, but he just it was him like times 10. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was just more of him. I don't know, just more. He was like extra him, and it was off putting. He spent hours picking at himself. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and then he wanted me to pick at him, and then he'd be mad because I didn't want to dig in his skin.
Yeah.
He started seeing and hearing things that weren't there, and that was, I was told, the meth induced psychosis, which is a real thing. And
Mm-hmm.
he saw those things. He saw worms growing out of his hands. He felt the pain of larvae being laid in his flight muscles or whatever, because those nerve endings were still firing. He felt them. They were real to him, but they weren't real to anyone else. And he was putting my family through hell to save us from these lint bugs.
Uh-huh. And for anyone currently dealing with an addict who isn't clean from their addiction, what advice would you give to them?
Um, Ow, stop. Sorry, kitty cat. You can't help anybody who's not ready. And that is the saddest thing, because no matter how much you want to help, you can't. Um, if this person's not willing to accept the help, or if they say they are and they're still using, the best advice is you need to get yourself away from that. Like, as soon as you can, as safely as you can, you have to get away. Wait for them to decide they're ready for help. And then hopefully you can, reconcile or something, reunite. I really don't think there's a way to be involved with it unless they're ready to accept help.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Well, I want to thank you for sitting and talking with me about drug addiction and sharing your experience. And yeah, thank you for all and everything. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.